Hi, welcome everyone to how to leverage SME content to build authority across platforms. We're so excited to have you. Folks are jumping in now. Thank you all so much for joining us live. We're very excited to present this webinar to you. I'm Sabrina Hips. I'm the VP of Partner Development here at CopyPress. I'll let my co-host Jeremy introduce himself.
I'm Jeremy Rivera, longtime SEO. I've worked with enterprise level brands for years, done freelancing, consulting, built SEO software with Raven tools and TapClicks, and now I'm the director of content analysis and SEO at CopyPress, making more awesome tools and getting to do awesome webinars on SEO stuff as our own in-house subject matter expert on subject matter experts.
We're so grateful to have you, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Just at the top of the webinar, I'm going to run through a few housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded, and we'll share that recording with everyone who is registered in your email tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. We will have a quick Q&A at the end of this webinar, time allotting. And if you would like throughout the webinar, please feel free to use the chat function to post any questions you might have, and we'll try to get to those at the end. Finally, we do have a special offer that we'll be presenting to those who are registered for this webinar, so keep your eyes peeled towards the end, but no worries if you have to hop off early. We'll be sharing that in email tomorrow as well. So without further ado, I'm going to throw it back over to Jeremy to jump into the webinar.
So this presentation is all about how to leverage authority, building authority with subject matter experts. We're going to go through the history of how Google parses and understands the concept of authority, some specific updates, the helpful content update in the EEAT section of SEO. We're going to talk about how you can utilize that social media expertise within your organization, help give specific strategies, how to find those experts, some technical SEO tips on implementing schema so that Google can understand who your experts are, and show you some repurposing magic, how to get the biggest bang for your buck, because subject matter experts aren't always cheap. So what is authority? What is this concept that we're talking about? If you are talking about a handshake business, if you're looking for your roof to be replaced like I am, then you're looking for somebody who knows what they're doing. And the way that you double check that is find out their reputation. Somebody says that this company is reputable. They did a deal with them. There's that transfer of trust and authority that goes with that handshake. So Google realized very early that that's an important signal to improve just the, sorting letters and words can be semantically related, and that's helpful. But what really made Google different in its origins was its PageRank algorithm. And it applied the idea that, hey, if one site is linking to another, it's passing authority to another site. And so the more links you have from more reputable sites that have more links themselves, there's kind of a transference. But Google realized that there's more to it. There's more to this idea of authority and expertise, because content created consistently by particular people represents a level of expertise that separates written groups. And so they released a patent on what they called agent rank, which aimed to identify a particular author based off of their writing style. They could actually follow and track the writings of a particular author, say Hemingway, and read his lexicon, and then I'd be able to identify other things that he had written by his style. And so they've gone quite a distance along that, pulled back here and there, but it does impact how we approach search engine optimization, because subject matters experts do have an influence in how popular, how relevant, and how well ranked content is within the search engines. And this happens in a couple of ways. The first is we're looking at the helpful content update, which Google produced and looked at their search results and realized that there was a lot of kind of bad actors and a lot of unhelpful content that had started to crop up that they were ranking consistently. You could find it if you were looking for birthday, if you were looking for lyrics. You would get these kind of programmatically created sites where one tiny snippet of unique information existed and the rest was the same exact framework. It's like, what's Chris Rock's birthday? And the only unique thing on that page, aside from all the 50 ads they slapped in there, was his birthday date. And it had all of the other celebrities on other pages. And so Google realized that's not that helpful. We're not interested in these super thin attempts to just exploit SEO for cash. And that was one of the things that was scary about the helpful content update for us, was the verbiage that Google put out. Don't create content for SEO. We're like, that's my job. Don't create it to rank. But what they meant was, and if you look, if you follow Lily Ray on Twitter, she's a fantastic subject matter expert when it comes to helpful content and other updates. She pointed out in almost every case where she could pinpoint a site that was punished by the helpful content update, they had lots of ads stacked in there, and their entire approach seemed to be, hey, let's just try to push as much content out there and we'll just make money from ad revenue. And Google doesn't want to reward that. So they want to see, you can see here in the quote from the helpful content update that they want to see that, is this content written or reviewed by an expert or enthusiast who demonstrably knows the topic well? So, multiple parts and parcels of the helpful content indicate that Google is looking for signals and items that indicate that it is written by a subject matter expert. And it's important to clarify that this idea of having your content reflect expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, these aren't it's not like you can have, like Google has internally a scale of 1 to 5, whether you check off each of those boxes. Instead, that's the training they give to their quality raters guideline team. So the way that it works, they have a team of engineers who are coming up with these algorithms, and they say, I think it'll be improved if we do X or Y or Z. And they send it to their raters, the outcome of that new algorithm, and they judge it and they send back ratings. And so those ratings are then used by the engineers to increase the signal, decrease the signal, apply this new methodology, change this. And it's based off of not directly experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust, but there are things within your site that are machine consumable, that do generate some additional signals. Google does have a process to build a knowledge base of authors, of entities, of people that it taps into to create the results that we see on the search engine page. And this is particularly more and more of a challenge as we get more LLM generated content. And I say LLM instead of AI content because that's it's not data on the enterprise. There's not a true artificial intelligence that's creating this content. They're using a language learning model to generate content. So based off of a dated lexicon of input, I think before 2012, I want to say, or 2017, all of the content that ChatGPT was trained on is already old. Based off of that, they guess the next word in the sentence, and they do it very intelligently. If you're not familiar, look up a guy called Wolfram Alpha, and he did a fantastic article that explains how language learning models work and how they create content. And it opens your eyes because they're just really good at guessing and making up sentences. But there's a huge difference between making a sentence that sounds good versus a sentence spoken by somebody that has true unique insights. Somebody who's taken apart a dozen Chevy engines can tell you so many details about how those engines go together, and they're not just reading the labels off of a manufacturer's card about this part or that part, or cobbling together this information. It's firsthand, it's experiential, and it ties together concepts and allows them to make predictions about what's happening next. Every single LLM out there right now, whether it's chat, Bard, Bing chat, it will always refer back and will give you kind of this, obsequious, mealy mouth kind of explanation that's not really punchy. It'll do the job. It'll generally explain things. It's kind of getting better as we move from 3.5 to 4.0 on ChatGPT, but it's still a lot of rehashing known information, not unique information. It's not new information with expert insights. People are craving this. When you type in your search results, you don't want that a piece of information that's just regurgitated. You want something more satisfying as a searcher, a real answer. You don't want just aggregation of information from other sources. You want something that tells you a story, a narrative, because as humans, we're born to listen to stories. It's in our history, it's in our DNA. So we want to find a way to leverage that expertise in new ways to craft fantastic content. Anytime that you do like a search on a major subject, say lavender oil uses, would you rather have an answer that just says lavender oil was produced in the 17th century and it's been used for very specific things and sundry? It's like a long paragraph. Or would you like somebody to get to the point of, hey, this is a useful tool that's has multiple health benefits of X, Y, and Z, P, D, and Q. And that's how Google's people also ask, and their featured snippet functions work as well. If you do a search for lavender oil uses, you'll see a reward at the top for those really punchy, 50 to 60 word answers that are scientifically written. They have a specific perspective, and that's how you should write in your content. You have a question, you answer it, and then you support it. So you can use subject matter experts and push them to give you more feature snippet type questions. And those help fulfill and target those people also ask those PAA boxes that occur as well. So you really want to step away from just bland keyword research and think about how you can get insights on your project from different humans within your organization. And I know at CopyPress, we have a lot of tricks up our sleeve and a lot of processes we do. How do we use subject matter experts at CopyPress?
Yeah, really, we utilize subject matter experts in so many different ways. One of the biggest ways is getting insight on that vertical, on that industry, and utilizing what our clients already have in-house. So a lot of times when people are hesitant to embracing subject matter experts, it's a time issue. They don't have the time to go out and find said experts, but oftentimes right in your organization, you have customer service teams that are interacting with clients. You've got product managers that are intimately detailed with what you are selling. So utilize them as well as your customers. So you can provide surveys, you can make outreach and provide incentives to past customers to really get that insight. As well as identifying those folks that are subject matter experts, and you can use them as thought leaders. So again, this is kind of our meta webinar because we have our very own subject matter expert thought leader here on the call, but utilizing folks in-house to be the public figure figures to really establish themselves as the experts on your vertical, on your industry. And that's going to be such a great way. So again, our meta, I'm going to throw it back to Jeremy, is he's on something like a webinar and he does podcasts, and it's really establishing him as the expert on subject matter experts and SEO.
Yeah, you kind of want to find it on your team are the people who have in-depth knowledge about it, or if you're an agency working with your client, finding out how to communicate with their internal resources. And sometimes that introduces us to ghosts, because not everybody, there was a guy that was working on our air conditioning, and he's got 20 years of experience, and he'd talk all day about how these systems work and what I need to do next. And this system's going to fail if you need to take your time and take care of it. And I said, none of this is on your site. I barely found you because of a friend. Oh, well, I'm terrible at writing things down. So sometimes you have expertise, but you don't have that writing skill set. So what's your experience with ghosts, Sabrina?
Well, I do believe in ghosts, like kind, but I also very much believe in ghost writers, which is on the slide. So I'll speak more to that. But yeah, exactly, Jeremy. You'll have someone come over to repair air conditioner. Now, this person's the expert, the end all be all on the knowledge, but not every person who's an expert in their field is a strong writer. So I love the Real Housewives and all things Bravo. I am an expert and can go on for days. Join me on my next Bravo Real Housewives webinar. But I'm not a strong writer. So the way we bridge that gap here at CopyPress is employing ghost writers. So these are people who are strong writers, good at research, understand grammar, understand the SEO elements that need to be there, and can take your knowledge and information from that subject matter expert, from that AC repair person, maybe through interviews, maybe through watching videos on them, transcripts of meetings. Take that information and then provide it to your customer base in an easily digestible, understandable way. Really, really awesome utilization of that expertise, and you're pairing it with someone who has the expertise on writing.
Unfortunately, not everybody has a pro in their team or somebody who has that. So sometimes you got to go find them. You got to go online. You got to use tools. And so while I don't condone just publishing everything with AI, I think there are some fancy AI tools that can help us get the job done. There's some awesome tools. Twitter just added its AI component called Grok, and I used it to find subject matter experts for an article I was reading for SEO ROI and return on investment. And I asked it for, hey, who's posted about SEO ROI? I also was able to ask it who seems to have attended or spoken at conferences in SEO and shared insights about this, who has recorded podcasts and is done public speaking or held local events about this. And based off of Grok's instant connection to Twitter and all of that current SEO and current activity and information, I was able to find both tweets that I could reference, as well as find experts to reach out to and develop relationships with. And so since we're talking about Twitter and finding these people there, I'm going to share you my way to open those doors to subject matter experts. You want to observe how people use that particular social media network. It's very different from when you go from Twitter over to Reddit, from Reddit to TikTok, from TikTok to Instagram, from Instagram to Slack channels and forums and groups that have been created for your particular niche. There's literally dozens of custom Slack channels created for the SEO community. That's technical SEO group, the SEO community. And there's fantastic people contributing there kind of behind the social media scenes. And so you want to participate in those networks and kind of build a profile for yourself. You don't want to start with an empty avatar, have no preference, have said nothing, and just reach out cold to these people. But you want to engage and network with them. So here's my specific advice for if you find a subject matter expert, you've kind of been on the platform, posted some of your stuff, retweeted some other things. Use this 5-day plan before you send that DM. On day 1, find something they said that you like and hit the like button. Day 2, come back, like something else and repost something that they had put out there. On day 3, start a conversation with a reply message to an additional thread, like something else and repost. On 4th day, reply to them. And by the 5th day, this person has seen you in their feed for the past 4 days. And if there's anybody at the helm for their social media channel, they're doing their business, they know you now. You've had conversations on a couple of different things. So when you send them a DM, it's not a cold DM anymore. It's warm. It's a conversation. It's continuing. And that's when you can offer them some type of lure, some type of reason to reach out. So if you're looking for another tool to find those authors, to interact with them, and you have an Ahrefs subscription already, go to the Content Explorer tool, put in your subject, and click on the authors sub-tab on it. And it will give you a list of authors and how many articles they've written that rank for that particular topic. Click through and kind of sort through. This tool is a little bit wonky. It can give you some bad signals. They might rank for a lot of things that are not really that close to your subject, but it does an okay job of surfacing some authors that you might want to know. Zachariah Peterson absolutely is a subject matter expert in PCB routing. There's another tool by Rand Fishkin's new Spark Toro tool. He's no longer with Moz, but he made something that's analyzing the influencer space. So you put in your subject, it discovers the audience, and then analyzes what they interact with, who they interact with. So you can discover some influencers to reach out to through that tool. We at CopyPress have our own methodology that's powered by AI. If you do want our analysis of subject matter experts in your area, go to our website and go to the Authority Builder tool. We'll do a free audit and surface subject matter experts, what they've been writing about recently, because we offer a service where we help build subject matter expert teams for you, kind of a bolt-on content marketing team for you. We use AI. We take the keyword universe of all of the terms and phrases based off of your competitors. We find everything they rank for, and then all of those terms, we find the websites ranking for those and grab an even bigger universe of contents. But so we grab this huge circle of content and then use machine learning to break down into subjects and find our writers, find subject matter experts who have posted within that universe multiple times so that you can identify and help bring them onto your team, whether that's through social media or if you're sending an outreach email. You always want to give them a lure. You want to personalize your outreach. If you have a template, always make sure you customize it and give them some sort of value. Like if you're reaching out to somebody, you want to offer them, the value of access to your audience. Hey, I've got a large audience of 2,000 people on my newsletter list that we're sending out to. If you want to contribute and get visibility. So give them a visibility offer, a reason why they want to participate with you. And you can kind of open that door, offering interviews with them, asking, hey, do you have a question? I'm writing an article about this. Do you have an opinion on it I can include? And how can I cite you? Is a fantastic way to open that door to a future relationship. And then you can say, after you do that, you publish your own article. Hey, do you want to, do another interview or record something together, do some co-branding? Do you write content? Can we bring you on our team for this? There's a lot of ways to open those doors and grab those experts so that they're on your team. And you want to make sure then the technical SEO piece is handled. So schema markup is a technical SEO piece. You mark up your information and it communicates the person's name, their date of birth, what are some other articles they've written, or what are the profiles that they have elsewhere that kind of verify that this person I'm saying here is the same as this other. And you do the same with your main website. If you have an about page, you want to reference your other social profiles and mark up with that same as markup so that Google has a knowledge base both for your entity as a business and all of your subject matter experts. You should make sure that you have person schema on your author pages. There's a tool that's getting published today by Linda Infante. It's a GPT. All you do is you go there and answer the questions in the prompt. It will give you the code. You don't even need to know how to write schema code anymore. The GPTs can do it for you. The URL for that's in this slide deck. It's bio to schema. Bio to person schema is the name of the GPT. Because these author pages on your site are an absolute must now. If you're wanting to separate yourself, if you're wanting to compete in a your money is or your life category of content, that's anything to do with healthcare, anything to do with finances, anything to do with personal interactions, those categories of content that are close to money, Google is looking and applying harder and harder rubrics to the people that are ranking for that. You'll do searches now, and you'll have to have like an MD or PhD or a specific credential. And if you go through the first 2 pages of results, you realize, hey, these are subject matter experts. These are doctors that have written this or reviewed the content here. So you need to make sure that Google understands and can index your author pages. Our own author pages a couple of months ago were not indexed. So even if you're at an agency, check your work. Make sure the cobbler has shoes on. So your author page should have a headshot, a small bio, links to your other writings, and have that schema markup showing same as and linking to both other articles that author has written and other social profiles to prove that this person exists and is real. Because you're going to go through a lot of work to find these subject matter experts, to bring them on your team and create content. You want them to be found so that when you create this content, you can reuse it for more purposes.
Yeah, of course, Jeremy. It's so important. And as you mentioned, making sure the cobbler has shoes. Sometimes when you spend so much time with your clients and making sure they have that, it's sometimes easy to not look within. So we're very grateful that we have you on our team to be able to catch those things. And they're really great examples to provide for folks because it can happen. So once you have that content created and you have that expertise from your SME, repurposing the content is what we're here to discuss. So we'll dive into some examples, but you can take a YouTube video or a 5-minute recording of your subject matter experts, and it doesn't have to stop there. You can turn that into a blog post. You can turn it into a newsletter or a webinar topic or ebook topic. So you put a great example in here that if the expert's speaking for 5 minutes, that's 750 words of content right there. So just using the transcripts of that recording, you can then take that and create really awesome content without having to do anything. And so there are AI tools here that are available. We in-house have used Otter AI, which is a really great transcription tool, but there are other ones. So utilize AI and machine learning to work for you to take that expert and really elevate it to the next level.
Absolutely. I like Descript as well because you can pull put in the video and it'll actually allow you to remove the ers and us, and then you just edit the words and it will edit the video accordingly. So you can do video editing get your transcript out, and then take that transcript. You can use ChatGPT or another tool to ask for bullet points and headers, and then you can send that out in your newsletter and say, hey, check out our newest post. It's got this. So reusing that content. You can also look for engaging moments, fantastic quotes throughout the webinar that you can pause, zoom in on, and take that content over and plop it into a graphic that can be then shared on your social media channels. There's such rich content that you can build by pushing your interviews into other channels. So the other way you can use it as well is those conversations you are having, those at messages, those at replies. Well, finding those subject matter experts, they don't necessarily have to be on your payroll. You can find people that are talking about these subjects. They are people who are having intelligent conversations. If you take and harvest that quote and put it into your blog post, and quote 3 or 4 different experts, you kind of build in a boost and ensure that once you push this live, you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm writing an article on return on investment in SEO. Last week you said this about it. Do you mind if I quote you? How can I give an attribution and a link? They'll be like, yeah, so send me a link when it's live. I'll share it. You can build in an internal amplification network, and also create content that's more relevant, powerful, and authoritative by including posts from social into that content. And another method is, once you have created several posts in the same vein, whether you're talking about SEO opportunity, SEO forecasting, ROI from SEO, they kind of keep this thread, put them together into an ebook, bundle them together into a lengthy ebook with some style, some class, get a designer and build an ebook that's worthwhile. And then you've got something that you can offer a CTA and capture people's contact information on your site. And the fantastic thing about that is then you can offer in that webinar, turn that ebook into a webinar where you're talking about that subject, and you can promote that content. We have our own ebook on subject matter expertise, building authority. Our CEO wrote 4 or 5 in-depth 3,000-word blog posts about building authority, expertise online in multiple ways, and we turned it into our own ebook, which is what we're going to send out to you after this webinar is concluded, because we feel it's important for you to take the experts that you've found and find more opportunities to use that repurposed content. So don't think just about the next blog post or your own newsletter. Think about how those subject matter experts can be found in the community. They can go and do podcast interviews. They can guest author content for other brands and other entities. They can create profile pages and be a presence in social media elsewhere. So you want to build up the authors and the experts that you have on your own team. Because lost the thread there for a second, because Google notices that Google is going to reward and identify people that are in your organization. If you look at John Henshaw of Coy Wolf, he made it a campaign for him to get all of his writing elsewhere, to attribute his profile, his about page profile. And now Google recognizes him as a journalist, and he's able to write on kind of varied subjects and ranks really high for things that he's only written once or twice about. And the site for that isn't very strong, but he's given a lot more recognition in the results page because Google knows that he is a qualified entity within the knowledge graph. Your own business should be part of the knowledge graph. Do a brand search for your company, and if you don't have a knowledge panel claimed on the right-hand side for your brand, click the button to claim your knowledge panel. If you don't have that panel showing up at all, then you need to work on improving your about page with more additional detail about your company history, and find other places to create profiles that reference and add that same as schema markup so that Google can connect those points in the graph, because it's only going to become more important as more time passes. A lot of machine learning content is coming, and the way to differentiate yourself is by having subject matter experts create your content. So in summary, you want to find, hire, train and leverage and promote those subject matter experts, leverage schema markup to ensure that Google can connect those dots. Be sure that you have a detailed about page for your business on your site, and ensure that your author pages are indexable. And then create that expert content and repurpose it across, not just within your site for different forms, but across multiple channels. And then use opportunities to find and promote experts on other sites.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Again, we're so grateful to have you here at CopyPress as our subject matter expert. You always have a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for creating this webinar and sharing all of your insight, your expert insight. He did not use ChatGPT to create this. He used his own brain. So we're so lucky to have you. If you all haven't already and you have some questions, please feel free to use the chat function over on the side of your screen and share some burning questions you might have. We do have a couple, so I'm going to go highlight them on the screen. The first one we have is, how frequently would you recommend having an SME update or refresh existing content to prevent it from becoming stale or outdated? Jeremy, do you want to tackle that one?
So it's going very industry from industry. And the one thing that I touched on earlier was like PCB routing, PCB software and design. That's where they're creating the software that creates the microchips that we use in everything. And that's a very fast-paced industry. And software is getting updated, monthly. And there's a lot of things that are changing within the industry. New standards and capabilities are coming out on a consistent basis. So when I worked at another agency who worked with the largest manufacturer of that type of software, there was a regular cadence. Every other month, those subject matter experts would regularly go back and have a regular cadence of updating that content, because they had new versions of the product, new versions of the software, and they focused on a particular feature or capability. So if you're working with software, you have to make sure that your older content is updated, because if you had a new tool that you released in the past 6 months, but you wrote something 2 years ago, you missed that opportunity to talk about it. You missed that you have an older screenshot, and now the layout's different, the capability is different. This happens a lot in like Google Analytics documentation with GA4. Those capabilities are just not there. They're changed, they're different layouts everywhere else. And I was trying to do just a basic Google Analytics 4 task, and it said, oh, just click on this button here. It didn't exist anymore. They had moved it somewhere else, and they hadn't updated their documentation. So based off of how quickly your organization is moving and how quickly your industry is moving, that's going to give you an idea. Now, if you're talking about blacksmithing, it's probably a fairly slow rate of change. Not that there's too many popular blacksmiths online, but just for a fun example.
I'm sure there's plenty on TikTok. So yeah, definitely going to be industry dependent. We talked about the best way to find this industry insight. Utilize the folks in your own business, utilize the customers. Really great way to get a good cadence on updating that. We do have another question. Also from Liz, is keyword research irrelevant with SMEs? How can you still incorporate keyword research into SEO with your SME. So keyword research, if you follow CopyPress or webinars we've done in the past for CopyPress or SEJ, we speak a lot about keywords. So are we saying throw the keywords out and it's all SME? Jeremy, tackle this one for us.
Sure, it absolutely, they work together because you can use a tool that, say, looks at the top 10 ranking URLs and grabs the keywords from those. But that's just a sample keyword universe. Then you can take that subject matter expert and have them narrow it down, because sometimes experts don't realize how much of a niche expert they are until you push and probe them in particular areas. There's a lot of imposter syndrome that can occur with somebody who's been doing something for 20 years and they take for granted that everybody knows that the Cubinator 5000 stacks with the 3x cube force sub Q thirtigon glucagon 6. Everybody knows that, right? No. If you present your subject matter expert with some basic or fundamental keyword research from your competitor analysis tools, your content analysis tools like we have here at CopyPress, they can weed out and eliminate and say, no, that's not so good. And you should have, and this is a side note, you should have a negative keyword list ready to go for your subject matter experts. So that's things that you can't say legally. Those are claims that you can't make legally. Those are things that you can't say because the company split with another software provider 5 years ago, or the CEO is fighting with somebody, or there's brand positioning keywords and phrases. Yes, you can't say luxury. You have to, or you can't say swamp cooler. You have to say portable evaporative coolers. So make a negative list of keywords and phrases that you want your content writer and your subject matter expert to steer away from. And, there may be, capabilities or things within your software product or service that kind of lead down a bad path or lead away from a sale that you might know about, or your subject matter expert should know about, that you want to have a negative keyword list there as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. Very good to know that all of our hard work on keyword research does not have to go out the window. It works in tandem. We have another great question from Ricky. Thanks, Ricky. What are the best ways to encourage SMEs to promote their contributions to your content? That's an excellent question.
Visuals. So there's a lot of tools. You can use Midjourney or DALL-E or others to create a unique image that goes along with a quote. So say that you saw somebody wrote on social media about a subject, you take that quote and put it into over that unique image, put it into the content, but give it to that subject matter expert through a DM and say, hey, I love that quote. Here's a graphic that we made for it. And that can get them to share it on another channel. Anytime that you have somebody that you've brought onto your team that's in that outer ring, they're not working directly for your company, you always want to give them an arsenal of things to share on social channels. So that means additional content formats, whether that's a clip from a video. Like I said, in Descript, you can highlight a section of text and it will take just that portion of the video, share that clip out to them so they can push it on another channel. Those quote images work really well. Having a conversation or a reason to engage with them. So setting aside or emailing them, hey, I wanted to chat about X, Y, or Z, and make sure that you give them those things that help echo and expand your leverage or visibility.
Yeah, make it easy for them, essentially. So you're creating those assets for them. It's great encouragement for the SMEs to utilize what they've already done. They did the hard work. They shared their knowledge. Exactly what Jeremy said. Create those graphics, pull things out for them, and make it just a one-click option for them. And then also, if they're hesitant to share, if they're hesitant to promote, always just letting them know the benefits and being able to reach a different audience is great as well. So thank you so much for that question, Ricky. We do have another question. From Liz, but I'll be perfectly honest, this is a question I asked and I was curious. So thank you, Liz, for putting that out for me. But what type of content benefits from having an SME versus what type of content could you use AI or a general knowledge writer for?
So more generic or general information, like if you're struggling to come up with descriptions for your products, then you can use tools to expand that content. There's tools that can actually take an image and then turn it into a text description. So that's one application of AI that's fantastic. It's particularly for those overwhelmed e-commerce content managers who have 1,000 products they've got to promote. It seems really daunting to come up with something unique. You could use AI to, come up with a description that you can then augment, some fundamental or basic information. If you have offline content that you can copy and paste and feed it in and ask for bullet points and insights and takeaways, those are fantastic additional things that AI can do really well. You can take the whole transcript from your webinar and ask it for what are the bullet points, what are the highlights that should be focused on. Then you can narrow down and take those pieces. Those are great ways to leverage AI to multiply your reach and time.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. Those are really easy ways to be able to utilize AI. And then obviously with the SME content, you want to stick to things that are going to be more robust, more in depth, things that will benefit from insights from your subject matter experts. We still have some time left. We have one more question in the chat, so I'll go ahead and highlight that one. Amanda asked, are there any social media platforms or areas where an SME just isn't valued or where we really shouldn't be spending too much time adapting content to build authority? So what are the social media sites we should stay away from?
Well, that's a really good question. There are places like Pinterest where it's more focused on the object or the idea versus a particular person. So that's one that jumps out where it's more visual based. There's not as much of a following, but there's a lot of channels that are very heavily influenced by a particular person. There are niches and corners of conversation on Twitter where it's more about the content that's coming out versus the personality that's saying it. And certainly there may be forums or where you're like Reddit. It's kind of hard. Reddit is a hard place because if you come off as disingenuous or trying to shill your products or service, then you can get slapped down by the community pretty hard. So Reddit would be one place where it's probably better to observe than trying to push an authority or be an authority on Reddit. That's one community for sure that it's a tricky bucket because that might not be true in a lot of sub niches. So whatever your industry is, go and explore. Use Grok to find and ask, hey, what are some different communities, places where people are discussing these things? Do some Google searches, look for forums, look for niche sites where conversations are happening, where there's user-generated content. Quora might have some weird stuff to say, and there's a lot of niche and community sites in industry places. It's very hard because you got to narrow down almost to the level of experts to find out where the conversations are actually happening about your particular subject area. And that's where you can kind of determine, should we invest in adapting content to build authority? In general, it's usually a good strategy, but like I said, there might be use cases and platforms where it's going to fall flat. Reddit comes to mind for absolutely. Sabrina, you're kind of muted there. Try again.
Kind of muted. My favorite. I've got a lot of dogs in the room with me. I didn't want you guys to hear any barking, but thank you so much, Jeremy, for answering those questions. Thank you to those who were able to attend, ask some questions. It's been such a pleasure to spend this time with you all. Hopefully you took some information away. If you have any other questions for myself or for Jeremy, please feel free to reach out to us. As I mentioned, we'll be sending the recording as well as that ebook offer to you all. And we get replies to that email. So it's coming from, I think, me, but feel free to reach out and we're happy to answer any additional questions you might have. Jeremy, any final parting words for our guests?
Go be the authority you want to see.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for attending. Y'all have a great day. Happy holidays, and we'll see you in the next one.